Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and I'm here with part 7 of the Frostbound Forest Storycraft box. This is a free 8-part series that is going out to members of my email list. If you're on that list, you will get that in your email today. If you're not on that list and you would like to join us, you can sign up with the link in the description down below and have parts 1 through 7 sent to you immediately. This is a limited time freebie, so it will only be available until March 14th of 2025. After that, it will be available for sale in my Etsy shop. So today we're making kind of an interesting box/folio piece, as well as adding more entries to our journal. And I've got just a few supplies. As usual, I've got my distress inks. I have weathered wood, iced spruce, pumice stone, which I didn't really use today. I think I'm falling out of love with this one personally. And vintage photo, which I used just a little bit on things that were brown. For glue, I'm using my Beacon Fabri-Tac. Any liquid glue with a fine point will work. And I've got a pair of scissors to cut everything out with. For paper, I'm using 110-pound cardstock for most of my pieces, and then a few things were printed on 32-pound paper. So that would be this envelope page and the letter. It's going to look like this opened up. Those 2 pages are printed on paper. Just like all the other parts, I have the paper recommendation noted right at the top of every single page. I will also be using some Velcro dots today. They are optional. I've got some alternatives for you, but I love them and I'm going to use them. If you'd like a shopping list for this project, everything I've used from beginning up until part 7, there's a link in the description down below to an Amazon shopping list. So to get started, I'm going to put all of the temple notes and the journal pieces pages off to the side so they don't get mixed up with everything else. And I'm focusing on the pieces that were marked temple folio. And particularly, I want to use these 2 kind of windowy looking pieces and then these 3 pieces that are a little odd. There's 2 of these and then one, here it is, one that it looks like this. So you want to grab all of those pieces and we're going to build a box. So these more unusual pieces, you're just going to take these and fold this flap down the middle and then fold this tab here also down the middle just to give those a nice crease. And then you're going to look at those 2 side tabs and we're going to just fold those right in as well. And what you'll have is kind of a little U shape with a couple of extra pieces. So repeat that for the second one as well. So do both of those. And then this little guy here, just go ahead and fold these 2 tabs in. So you have this U shape, and that is going to be the bottom of the kind of box that we're making. Next, let me make a little room here. I'm going to glue down this longer flap. So this piece that has kind of the tree trunk on it, I'm going to glue that right down. This is just to add a little decoration to the inside of our box for the part that you might see from the outside, as well as give some stability to the sides. We want it to be nice and sturdy so it'll hold up. And I'm going to repeat that for this second one. So I'll flip that up and put a little glue in there. Give that a good press. And then I'm going to take these, and these tabs are going to nest right down inside of that other U shape. So we're building the sides of our box, and then we're going to add some panels to it. So I'm going to put some glue right down in the middle of this. Just go ahead and glue the whole thing. And this is also going to reinforce this as well. And then just, doesn't matter if it goes under or over. I've got mine under. I'll show you what I mean here. So underneath that other tab. And then you want to make sure that the corner meets up nicely. And then just press that tab down into the glue on the inside. So you'll have something that looks like this. I'm going to repeat that for the second one. Just get that tab right in the glue and make a nice corner. If you, under seems to be working a little better, so I'm going to go with under. So this is going to tuck under the side, and this will just kind of hinge over it. I know it looks a little funky, but stick with me here. So I'm going to turn this upright so we got the bottom and then the sides of our little box. And I'm just going to grab one of these panels. Now these are the inside panels of our box. So I'm going to turn this away from me. And I'm going to stick this right in here. And then let's put a little glue around the edges. And we're going to raise it up. And I've gotten glue in the wrong spot, so you want it all around the bottom and the sides. You could also put the glue on the tabs. And then I'm just going to bring this up and stick those tabs right to it. You can also flip it over. And I've gotten glue all over my work surface. All right, we took care of that. So you've attached this. This is the inside. It's all the way down, all the way to the sides, and this is all snugged up all nice and neat so that there is a nice pretty lining on the inside of our box. Now we're going to cover this up in a minute, but we need to add our second box panel. This one is a little tricky, so you can put the glue on before you slide it in. Also, just because I do something a certain way doesn't mean it's the best way. So if you think you have a better way of putting it together, use your own method. So I'm going to slide that in, get those tabs pressed down, and then I'm going to grab my bone folder. You can use your scissors or a ruler or anything else, and just press that down so that everything is nice and neat. And then make sure everything is down all the way. These should meet up at the top nice and neat. And you want to make sure everything is firmly glued down. It is a little tricky, but it is probably the hardest part that we're going to do today. And now I'm going to give this a check over while my glue is still wet. That's why I like the liquid glue. And I'm going to make sure everything is snugged up, that I'm snugged up. All these edges are nice and tight up against this panel, that my corners are still nice and tight, that these are even at the top. Check the other side, because if you get this off, then the rest of your box might be off later. So now we're going to cover up these panels. We're going to grab this door panel and we're going to glue this to one side. And ignore that, we're going to fold this piece here. I folded the wrong piece, so ignore what's happening right here. There is a little line on this that is not a fold line, and it's indicating where these kind of line up because we're going to do a little flip. So don't fold that. If you did fold it, don't worry, just glue it down. Nobody's going to know. And I'm just going to put a nice coating of glue over this entire surface. You can use your glue stick if you like. And then pop that right on like this. So there is our door. I'm going to get this piece here and make sure you've cut out your holes. I used an X-Acto knife and cut those holes out really quickly. And then make sure you have it the right way up. The pattern should match up. It's a little thicker at the bottom than it is at the top. And then I'm just going to flip this over, making sure I have my bottom still on the bottom, and put a nice little bead of glue right around the edges. This is going to be a pocket. Go as thin as you can with this. Then I'm going to take this pocket and just line it right up with the bottom and the sides and put that into place like so. Next, we're going to grab this crazy piece here, and you're going to want to pre-fold this along the line here. And then I did put some distress ink there, and I should have some distress ink right there. So let me ink that up really quickly. Right like so, just real quick, a little bit of ink, because we're going to do a little cover on the side, but it might kind of show through at the hinge. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of ink as camouflage. Then we have this piece here. You're going to see there's a little bit of a curve here, and that's going to match up with a little bit of a curve at the top. And this is just going to sandwich together. So we're going to glue those together entirely. You can use a glue stick if you like. I'm just going to use my Fabri-Tac really quick and glue these together so that it's lined on the back. Like so. You've got your hinge just above that. I would give it a quick fold check. Fold it all the way over. Make sure everything is nice and neat. And then comes the fun part. We are just going to glue this top piece, this piece here, from the fold to the fold, because this is also folded. So make sure you folded here and that you have folded here. The glue is only going to go here. So a little glue in there. And then I'm going to line that up with my line that was already on here. That's a guide to kind of help you get it into position. And then the edges should match up. Everything should kind of fall into place. I tried to give as many visual guides as possible for this. But that creates this little flip up so that you have the front door. Now I'm going to flip this over and let's work on the back side. This one is slightly more complicated. So there is this stairwell piece. There is this double piece with the desk and the window, and then this vanity and jewelry box or a chest. And then this other piece with the temple front, and then a chair and a bookcase. So you're going to want to fold these in half first. Fold them in half this way along the line that's provided. Then take the tab and fold it in. You want to make sure that everything can fold nice and flat, nice and neat, no buckling. Once you have that, you're going to glue these two panels together and then leave your tab free so we can attach that to another piece. So here is our first panel with our tab. And then repeat that for this one. So fold in half, fold our tab over, make sure everything is nice and neat, not buckling. And then glue the large pieces back to back. So now we have two of these. We've got our tabs. Let's point our tabs inward and grab this staircase piece. And we're going to glue those tabs right underneath our staircase. Make sure everything is lined up at the bottom. So I'm going to start with this one. Glue on my tab. Going to place this so that the bottoms line up. And then I'm going to fold this all the way over. We want to make sure this is going to close nice and neat. Give that a press. You will have a little gap in here. That's why I had the distress ink on there, just to hide that gap. And then I'm going to repeat that for the other side. A little bit of glue. Line up the bottoms. And then fold all the way over. And this is going to be a little trifold that's going to attach directly to the back of this. So before we do that, we're going to open this back up and I'm going to grab these pieces here, and you have a couple of options. You can just glue these on as pockets, glue two sides, match it up, glue them in place and make a little pocket, or you can make a fussy cut pocket, which is what I'm going to do. So I left you a couple of options so that you can decide how fussy you want to be with it. It would make it a little easier, and also it just wouldn't be too fiddly. You can, no matter how you cut it, the picture is going to match up pretty well and give you that look. So there you can see I have cut my box out. I just went along those two sides, and I'm going to glue along the right side and the bottom to make a pocket. So just a thin line of glue on the right side and the bottom. And then I'm going to tuck that right in place, make sure it lines up with my picture. And I'm going to repeat that for this chair. Just going to give this a quick little fussy cut. Not going to be too persnickety about it. And then if you cut off something by accident, it's not a big deal because it's on the bottom. There we go. So there's my chair, and that's just going to layer up right over top, and I'm going to glue the left and the bottom. So just a little bead of glue. like so. And we have a couple of interesting pockets on the inside. And then let's flip this panel closed. And I think I'm going to leave this pocket as it is. It's a nice angled pocket. And I like how that looks, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You could get fussy with it and cut around your desk a little bit. But remember, if it gets too fussy up there, that you might bend your elements whenever you're taking things in and out of the pocket. So for me, I'm going to glue 3 sides of this. Like so. And put that right down on top. Now that we have the pockets in place, I'm just going to fold this all the way up and let's glue this panel directly onto our box. So I'm just going to get a nice coating of glue all over this. Again, glue stick will work just fine. And I'll place this, hopefully, nice and neatly onto my box. I'm just going to give that a flip and a little fold. Now we got a lot of stuff happening here. It's very flippy and floppy. And we still have this little piece to put in. So I'm just going to glue that. It's the decorative side that goes right on the back side of that tab. So I'm going to give that a little bit of glue and pop this into place. If yours doesn't line up 100%, give it a trim, put some distress ink around it, whatever you want to do to kind of neaten that up. All right, so our box is built, nice and neat, and we need to secure this. For me, I'm going to be using Velcro dots, and I'm going to use a couple of them. So let me just grab one pair here, and I'm going to secure this piece here by placing one right about here and then pressing down. I got that just a little bit off, so I'm going to try to adjust that before it's too stuck. Put it in a little more. There we go. And then press that down gently so I don't crush the side of my box. I'm going to stick a finger in there. Now I have Velcro that is holding this piece shut. I'm going to flip this over. This one stays shut pretty well, but I think I'm going to add a dot here also, just to hold it down. And then I'm going to give you an alternative. If you have a little bit of string on hand, some kind of twine or something like that, I'm going to give you an alternative to these 3 dots that I'm going to be placing. I'm going to stick it right here in the middle. Tap that down. And then this last one, this little fold over strap to keep the top shut. So I'm going to add one more dot to keep that down. So we're going to have lots of little things to open and close on this box. I'm going to place it right about there and then press it down. Stick a finger in there and give it a squish. All right, so one. And then of course you have to open that one to open this one. And then flip it over and there's that. Now if you do not have Velcro dots and you don't want to get Velcro dots, the alternative is, and I've got a little prototype here. Now this one does not have the long strap. This was one of my test pieces. You can punch a hole in the end of this long strap. So just punch a hole right there. So you can see I've got one on my little short one. And then punch a hole in the bottom here of this piece. And then you can bring them around together and give them a little tie. And that's going to hold the folio shut entirely. And then when you untie this one tie, that releases everything to be able to move freely. And not everything is printed. This was a just trying to test to make sure everything was going together okay. So that is an alternative for you to open and close and secure this. So now that we've got this made, we're going to want to add some goodies to it. We've just put some pockets in, so let's fill those up. I'm going to go ahead and grab this notes section. I'm going to put my envelope and this letter to the side for a moment. And I've got all of these notes that are kind of doubled up, and all you're going to do is cut those out, fold them in half, and glue them together. So I'll show you really quickly on one. Just real simple, and that's going to make nice sturdy cards that you can handle and not worry about messing up. And these can kind of go to a pocket in here. And let me go ahead and glue the rest of these together really quickly. And I've got these all glued together now, and you can tuck these in. This biggest one fits best right here behind the box. And then let's see, size-wise, this is the next biggest. We'll put that behind the chair. And you can kind of just bounce around and do 2 to each and fit them in however you like. A little jaunty angle there. So there are our notes to give us some more background information that goes with our story. And then I'm going to flip this, and we've got this pocket here. So let's go ahead and fill that with our envelope. So the envelope has 2 tabs that you're going to go ahead and fold in. There are also 2 fold lines, one right here and one right here. So we're going to fold this up and then fold down, and make sure the fold line doesn't meet this part of the envelope. It's going to be above it. So right there. There is also this little liner piece. Instead of making you print a full sheet double-sided, I made a little liner. So I'm just going to glue this liner in really quickly. And that's just to make it look finished on the inside without having to print double-sided. There's a little schmutz in my glue. All right, so I'm going to glue that on like so, and then I'm going to want to recrease this piece here. And then this is going to fold up, and you want to glue these tabs down. So fold them in, put a little glue on each one of these, and give this a little fold over. And that assembles our envelope. And I've gotten a little off there. I'll just trim that up with my scissors. I got a little bit sideways. So no big deal, easy fix. I could also use a little distress ink if I wanted to, or with the glue I might have been able to reposition it a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to give that a nice little trim all the way around to make that line up a little better, and then I can put a little distress ink over that and to finish cleaning it up. All right, now I've got these little curlicue pieces my cat is going to chase around later, and I'm going to have to make sure I put those where he can't find them. All right, so there's my envelope, and then we have a note to go in. So just like our other notes, it folds in half. This one's just on paper. And I'm going to give that a good glue. Smooth that out with my bone folder. And then I'm going to fold this so that it's going to fit inside of my envelope. So I'm just going to kind of use my envelope as a guide. Fold up, fold down, and then tuck my letter right inside. Hopefully I haven't glued my envelope shut. There we go. I did glue my envelope shut. So when that happens, just kind of pop it free. There we go. And now it should go right down inside. I'll fold my flap over and then tuck this right down inside of my pocket. Now this is going to be a little bit thick and chunky, but there we go. So now you might be wondering, what about this space? What about this pocket? What goes in this pocket? Well, I'm glad you asked. If we grab our journal and go back to last week, we can get this card here, pull that out, and this is going to slide right down inside, and you'll be able to see those tiles through the holes, which is our magical unlocking system for the door of our temple. I really wanted an interactive piece to kind of tie it all together a little more and make it more immersive. So I made sure that these two pieces would work well together. So now that we have finished our folio box and our box is all set, it's all done today, we are going to actually make something next week that goes inside of us. That's going to be part 8, which is the end of the Frostbound Forest series. And that project is going to slide right down in here. So we have a case for that now. So I'm going to put this off to the side and let's work on our journal pages. So we have just a couple pieces today for the journal. We have this panel here, which you're going to want to fold this tab down as well as this one over. So I'm going to, and you can see our bookcase is upside down. This is going to flip up. So first I would turn this over, fold in half, then go this way and fold over. Again, make sure everything is nice and flat without any buckling. And these are all of the pieces that are labeled journal pieces. There are 2 pages and everything is on cardstock. We're going really simple today. Our journal has gotten quite thick and I wanted to leave just a little room for some fun stuff at the end. So this is our flip up. Next, there is a pocket with 3 tabs. So we're just going to fold those tabs in, fold the tab up, give those all a good crease for this little books pocket. And then I'm going to bring these over here to the left-hand page. So let's put the books pocket on first, put a little glue on all 3 of the tabs. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to place this kind of close to the bottom, but not all the way. Press that down, and when this flip goes in, I want the word books to show. And then I'm going to also make sure that this is centered. We're a little bit too far to the left for my taste. You can put it in however you like. And we're a little crooked. There we go. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our little flip up, and the glue is going to go on the printed side of this piece. Just going to put a nice layer of glue on, press it down, and then check and make sure it's landing where I want. I'm going to move that up just a little, and then I'm going to raise this up and remove any extra glue that might have come out with my finger. And then we've got this cute little strip of books. This is going to hide the tab. We kind of want that to look nice whenever you open it up. I didn't want that tab to just be kind of hanging out there. So again, check, got a little off track there. And I'm just going to put glue directly on the back of this and use that to cover up. And then as usual, give that a crease, a fold, just to make sure that everything is landing in a good spot, like that. Now this is going to pop up a little bit. Again, while your journal is shut, it should flatten out. You can give that some creases with your bone folder to kind of get it to settle down, but it shouldn't be a problem in the long run. On this side, we just have one panel to glue in. So I'm going to go ahead and just put glue all over that. A lot of our story updates were given via the notes that we find. So we have a little less in our journal today. There we go. And then inside of our pocket, we have 2 books. These are the same as a lot of other things that we've done, these little fold over pieces, and I'm just going to glue both of these together to make a double-sided tag. So there is 1 and 2. And I'll give these a nice crease. And then once they're dry, once everything is dry, these will tuck right down inside of this pocket, like so. These books are both mentioned in the notes that we just built for the Temple Folio. And then that flips down, and that is it for our journal pages, and we're almost to the end. And again, our journal a little fluffy. I will come up with a strap or something to secure this with. I've got some ideas. And I am looking forward to completing this project with you all, but I'm a little bittersweet about it. Everybody has been so fantastic, and I have really enjoyed sharing this with all of you. And to be honest, it has been a little overwhelming at times. So thank you all for participating. I can't wait to share the finale with you next week. If you are enjoying this, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification button, and I will see you next week for part 8.